Welcome to the HEARTspeak Podcast.
Welcome. We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We have been gone for, I feel like it's been over a year.
Yeah. For sure.
Lifing, things happening.
And we took all the necessary breaks we needed to take.
Yep.
And that is okay.
Yeah.
But we're happy to be back.
We're happy to be back.
There's no better time than the present to be back.
Right. And we're happy that you all are listening. If you're listening, if you're hearing this is the HEARTspeak Podcast. HEARTspeak is a part of the work that we do. So I'm Dr. Kenya Johnson. I'm one of the co-founders of Full Circle Strategies, and I'm here with my sister,
Kim Baker, or Dr. Kim Baker for some, Kim for others. Sometimes you got to correct people, but
right.
It's Kim. Kim and Kenya, we're back.
Right. We do a lot of work together, and we've always done a lot of work together. Like our work dates all the way back to our days of living out west in Nevada, helping to be about the business of dismantling white supremacy and advocating for social justice in many shapes, forms, and fashions. And so, this podcast is our space to just really decompress and talk about all the things. There's a lot happening. The HEARTspeak Podcast is named after a curriculum that Kim and I developed that stands for holistically engaging in anti-racist transformation. So we are anti-racist strategists, right? And we do the work in a very strategic way, right? The 4 facilitators of change. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, holistic wellness, cultural humility. Help me out.
Authentic connections. Building and shifting
power.
It's funny because we've been on this hiatus for a year, and in that time, I have been actually using our HEARTspeak framework in the classes that I'm teaching.
Oh, good.
So just side note,
so it's fresh on your brain.
Yeah, it's fresh on my brain.
I haven't been using it in my syllabus.
It's
my class.
It's
this
is
good.
So side note, we both work in the higher ed. We're both in our own respective academies, and so we're either thinking about this work from an academic perspective, we're either thinking about it from a practical sort of how do we navigate living in a world that seems to be very, very cruel right now to people who look like us, Black folk.
Yep.
So the 4 facilitators of anti-racist change.
Let's say it again. And I'm gonna say it again. Let me say it again.
Okay.
Holistic wellness. Cultural humility. Building and shifting power. And authentic connections. That was a really good pop quiz for me. So, got it.
Love it.
Now I'm ready. I'm ready for our season.
Right.
Because now what we're gonna be doing through many of these episodes is talking through these facilitators of change.
Yep.
Not only what it means to our work, but just current events, what's going on, what's in our personal lives, and how we practice it.
How we should be practicing it.
Right? Or just to common folk, when we use these words, terminology like anti-racist and dismantling white supremacy, folks are like, what? What does that mean? And so we want to be able to break that down. For our audience, for people we work with, for the people that we love, because, in these current times that we're in, there's so much that we just need to sit with and say, okay, what does it look like to practice? Well, for one, we start with holistic wellness.
Yeah, let's talk. We definitely need to talk about the wellness.
As Kenya mentioned in the intro, we do anti-racism strategy work as a business, and the ebb and flow of what that business work looks like definitely depends on the climate. Is there a demand for it, or how we market it, how you brand it to the general public? And as we know right now, so much of our work has been under attack for the last
Yes,
2-3
I was
years.
just about to mention that. Yep.
And and now it has taken higher heights. And so this is a question for the people who really do anti-racism work,
Right.
and not to take a slug at DEI, but we have our critiques.
Not at all.
Not the critiques that the other folk have, but we have our critiques.
Yeah.
But people who really do anti-racism work, like, do you rebrand? Like,
Right.
or like, for folks to digest it and really understand how this work is transformative, what do people need to know, and how do we get that message across clearer?
Yeah. When I think of rebrand, and particularly HEARTspeak rebranding, I think less about we're going to change our language and we're going to not say things that we're going to still speak our truth, right? Yeah. This is still, at the end of the day, about dismantling white supremacy now more than ever. And in the spirit of thinking about wellness and how we take care of ourselves and each other, the rebrand to me really signals this idea of how we teach people how to be in community with one another to do this work.
Pause. Full stop.
That's
really
right there.
Yeah, that's really what it is. How do we be in community with one another to do this work and to dismantle, bring more awareness to what dismantling white supremacy even looks like? Because I feel like that is a huge gap for us. Right. And being in community together.
Yep. And I feel like that's the through line to liberation. Right. And I think our initial thoughts as we built up Full Circle and created the HEARTspeak framework, we didn't explicitly stress liberation. It was sort of implicit, right? Like, of course, these things are going to lead to liberation. Of course they are. And I think the rebrand is about more explicit language, because white folks have got to see, they have got to get it. They have got to understand that our liberation and their liberation are woven together.
Yeah.
And one can't exist without the other, and vice versa. Right. And so what does that mean for how you take care of yourself, how you take care of others, and how we do this in community to get to that liberation? Yeah.
Because it's sort of like they got to learn what they need to be liberated from.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is just normal shit that they need to be liberated from.
They got to learn what they need to be liberated from.
Everyday stuff.
Everyday stuff.
So for starting off with holistic wellness, because we're at the beginning of the year, and as in everybody starts off a new year, new season. And
some of y'all did your
vision boards, bingo.
We did a burning ceremony.
Yes, we did.
So we not to digress, but we lit a fire on New Year's Eve, and we really wanted to focus on what are we not just letting go of and what change we want to make into 2025, but how do we really center our spirituality and our connection to our ancestors to give us the direction we need and give us the strength that we need. Like, it was really, I really appreciate it. Just thinking about it in that context, right? Instead of just like a New Year's resolution. Right. Because we don't do this by ourselves.
No.
At all.
Again, building community, doing things in community. And so burning these things and like the visual representation of like items that, or memories or experiences that kept us stuck, or the feeling of being stuck, or the feeling of like a weight. Like being able to like, being able to like just see it like disintegrate into a new form, into the atmosphere, and just leave. Like
let that smoke go up and send that signal up.
Like release into
I love
back.
That.
Take it away. Release
light bulbs going off right now. Ding ding. No, but seriously. No, because it just made me think about, we talk about the toxicity of white supremacy and racism and how we want to, I may not be articulating this right because it's in my brain and I'm on my third cup of coffee. We talk about all this junk and toxicness that we want to release, but we oftentimes we just see it as trash and something we want to let go of. And in some ways, it's moving that toxicity away and replacing it with energy that we do want to manifest. So it's more than just I put the trash out. It is, and what am I going to let in
to replace it?
And
honestly, even though it's negative or toxic energy,
right,
we need energy around us, right? So that's a lot of times why we hold on to even negative things, experiences, child relationships, that's real. All the things is we need the energy.
That's the human connection.
Yeah. We'll
it's
get
real.
to that when we start talking about authentic connections, right? How we practice that.
Absolutely.
But for the holistic wellness practice, being able to burn these experiences, and then it creates a new form in your life that you get to release and replace it. I love the idea that we got to replace it with new energy, or like intentionally going through this year knowing that I'm working to replace that negative energy that I burned with this new thing.
There is so much we can unpack that is happening right now, but wellness is important for people to hear this.
Let's start off with wellness.
Like, the wellness is important, and we're talking about absolutely our mind, right? The thoughts we hear, the thoughts, the stories we make up, the things we tell ourselves. Physical, right? Whether, we're cleansing our bodies in a physical way. Also our heart, like how we love, who we love, what that love looks like, what that love manifests, and spiritual. And I think that has been a very sticky area. Yeah. Especially for those of us who in the academic sphere. Like, you don't necessarily want to talk about spirituality and God or whoever or whatever entity, people use for their beliefs, right? We sometimes tiptoe around that, especially progressives.
Yes.
Or people who have a liberal, because rightfully so. Like, a lot of us come from experiences where things were beat up in our, we were forced, in a lot of ways to believe a certain way. Yeah. But but it doesn't take away from the spirituality of how we do this work is real, and then we have to acknowledge it. We have to pay attention to that. And so to think that we're going to dismantle white supremacy or overcome or push back against Trump and his minions or whatever the thing is, your CEO, your board, whoever, to think that you can do this without the help of your ancestors or higher being is selfish.
Yeah, it is. It's very selfish, and it's very just immature thinking. And so, like, we want everybody to evolve and know that we need all of this for the whole.
We need all this. That's the holistic wellness
right?
Piece.
So mentally, physically, spiritually, and then just in terms of like the energy and the relationships that we keep around us. Yeah. And we say it all the time, like, I don't need that in my life, or I don't need toxic people. Like that's part of that. Like, that is really much a part of our own wellness. Right. And we have to stay true to it. So So I'm excited about this journey this is as some people say, when you start off the new year, you enter into the resolutions or giving up things, right? Like, we have I wouldn't say fully dry January, but we're kind of doing dry January.
We're doing something like something.
January. Yeah. we started in early January. Yeah. Gave up sugar, so that included alcohol. And it has been freeing. Like, it's tough, but then it's also freeing because
it's hard. But then the clarity that comes with not like being so caught up in feeding a craving versus
sitting with that
craving. With the discomfort of hunger, leaning into that discomfort of hunger, and then also being strategic about like, okay, what am I gonna feed my body so that I can have the energy I need to do my work? That's a whole different level of living, and I don't know if I could do it year round. I need to. I need to
That'd
be
be
like that
interesting.
year round, but we just gonna start with January.
Yeah, see how it go.
See how that crack off.
See how it go. So I know we tiptoeing. So it's moist January because we were like, okay, January 6th through the 20th. And, you know, if you want to go a little longer, but at least give ourselves some time to just do this reset and see how this feels.
Yeah.
And we're enjoying it. About a week into it, we're enjoying it. So
you said January. Oh, no, you didn't say January 20th. But for some reason, I just heard January 20th.
January 20th.
And we all know that is, depending on when you hear this, that is or was the day that Trump put his hand on a Bible.
God awful.
And swore himself in
back
as our
into office.
president.
Yeah. Which I saw something that was so funny on social media. We're going to get into our thoughts on like the current state of social media in 1 second. Hold that, put a pin in that. But someone saying FOTUS, call him FOTUS, felon of the United States instead of POTUS.
Wow,
so,
I
like
haven't
from here
come
on
across
out,
that.
we're going FOTUS.
Yeah.
So FOTUS will be swore in or has been whenever you hear this. Yeah.
Foe also means enemy.
Yeah.
If you just like do like a little play on words there. He's our FOTUS, felony of the United States. He's our foe. Anyway, okay.
But you know, again, we are still emboldened really to continue doing this work.
We are.
And our focus this year, after a much needed like pause, is like bringing folks in with a different level of awareness of what this looks like.
Absolutely.
What this anti-racism 100%. Journey looks like in this climate. And all the things that we relearn and unlearn by doing this. So the conversation of social media comes to mind.
Yeah.
Because, you know.
So I made so.
Well, where you want?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do some background context.
Okay. Okay.
Y'all know Elon Musk is Trump's like little puppet, or Trump's his puppet. We don't know the relationship yet and how it's going to ultimately play out. This is going to be very interesting, but y'all know he had took over Twitter. When he initially bought Twitter, there was definitely this pushback of like, do we stay or do we leave?
Do we go?
And I'll admit, I stayed. I mean, I stayed because everybody I knew was on there.
Twitter, right?
It's Twitter. You're still getting the same information. Yes, there was some weird, like little funky changes happening, more ads. The presence of the MAGA was definitely there, but we stayed on.
Yes.
But it was, so this has been an ongoing conversation.
Do we leave? Do we leave?
Stay?
What does it mean to leave? What does it mean to stay?
Right. And I know people who are choosing to stay for strategic reasons. And I don't criticize that.
Monitoring
absolutely.
Activities so we know whatever. Right.
So I made the switch to Blue Sky.
Okay.
And I think, Kim, you made this.
I just made the switch slowly. Okay. I have 12 followers.
Hey, come on, followers. Follow Dr. Kim A. Baker on Blue Sky.
Professor Kim Baker.
Professor Kim Baker.
Dot Blue Sky, however spelled. Dot social.
Yeah, it doesn't look as not short and neat as X, formerly known as Twitter.
It's a lot of words,
but it's we up there. I think I am Dr. Kenya R. Johnson on Blue Sky, and I'm starting to feel right. You know, it's starting to feel right because I had been on Twitter since 2009.
Same. I was just saying that. So I checked. I was like, oh my God, December 2008. So 16 years, really. 16, 15 years.
Good old days.
Those were the good old days. 08. Y'all remember what happened in 08?
Right. So everybody there was critical mass around talking about all the important intellectual things to help move our country forward.
Right.
And you got that through the platform of Twitter.
But now it's so different.
Yeah.
And what we're thinking about is, well, not what we're thinking about, what we're planning to do is just migrating all our things, like full circle, right?
Right.
Full Circle has been on Twitter since 2017.
Yeah.
So like that's like 8 years of like our of our existence there. but we need to go because like it's just does not align with our company's values. And
exactly. Right. Thanks you for getting to the actual point. Like the meat and potatoes of why we're talking about how we change is because of the misalignment that is it's like too big to ignore at this point. No. And so recently Meta.
Oh yeah, so Meta announced, but Meta has been doing a lot of things. So Meta, for y'all that don't know, is the parent company of Facebook, Instagram, and now Threads.
And WhatsApp, sadly.
WhatsApp?
They own WhatsApp.
What is our family chat gonna for community? I don't know. Our family reunion chat? We got a lot to figure out. Okay. So there's been a couple things happening with Meta, right? Like changes to their policies in terms of LGBTQ protection and discrimination, right? Like
you can just get up there and have a good time. You can say whatever you want.
Make
spread misinformation, whatever.
Like clearly discriminate because that's your right. Like that is now a thing. But Mark Zuckerberg, or we gonna call him, what should we call him? Muck. Let's call him Muck. Recently just said that companies have lost their masculine energy and are being neutered by feminine energy. And I'm just like, it's just something like that just sickens me too. We still talking about holistic wellness. Now listen, it's the first episode, holistic wellness.
Right.
Seeing that is a visceral reaction in my body physically. And then what it does to me emotionally and mentally, thinking about that I am connected to a company leader. I am supporting his product and knowing that this is how he feels about the human connection and relationship in terms of his success.
No.
And so I'm like,
absolutely.
This can't be like, we can't do this. I can't support this. I cannot be on Facebook. I cannot support Instagram. Then, however, there's the question of like, what's
the alternative?
What's the alternative?
Because if we're talking about, we got to do this in community, right? Is it still does it provide that community for us? Another follow-up question: will we leave it? Will Black folks leave? Will other folks of color leave? Like, I don't know. Like, it's. And I think you posted something. Yeah. Did you pose a challenge to your?
I did. I just did. I kind of got a couple comments. So I was like bringing it up. So I was just trying to see.
I'm nervous
because I posted earlier today. That quote from Mark Zuckerberg talking about the whole feminine energy neutering success of companies. Crazy. And I posted to the Facebook community of people that I know I'm connected to. When do we exit? And like, are we planning to leave? And
right.
Like, what do we replace this with? Like, what is
okay,
before?
So what?
So one comment was like, I know, right? Super douche. I'm talking about Mark Zuckerberg. And of course, I've spent countless of hours setting up my life coaching biz on Instagram to create a following. So that's one thing. Like small business owners.
Especially for people of color.
For people of color.
Black folks and people of color, right.
Women, minorities, or whoever.
Yes. Yeah.
Small business ownership.
There's a lot at stake.
We cannot underscore how Facebook or social media has been a major platform
lucrative
for
many people. Yeah.
Which is also like capitalism, but neither here nor there. So we get it. And then another person mentioned that this new switch to community notes will literally be a tool for propaganda and misinformation, which without a doubt will cost lives because people use social media to access information. So these are just some comments that are coming up now from that, posing that question. So like,
I think what you just started exemplifies what we really wanted to leave with folks in this, this kickoff to our podcast returning is like, how do we navigate Trump 2.0 in the pursuit of anti-racism, right? And I think it's being bold and not being afraid to start these type of conversations and to push back and to get into the back and forth. I think that is a healthy part of, quite honestly, revolutionary tactics. It's not going to, this thing, we're not going to survive the next 4 years in politeness.
No.
Being polite.
That's true.
Kindness, yes.
Yeah.
We do need to be kind to each other. We need to take care of each other. Yeah. But we also need to be in a space of telling the truth and being big truth tellers.
Yes.
And if there is something that is going to undermine our ability to do that, we need to work together to figure out what is the alternative to Facebook. What is the alternative to Instagram?
Yeah.
What's the alternative to TikTok?
Yeah.
If something happened in TikTok, it's gone, right? And so I think it is definitely things that we teach in HEARTspeak is it is definitely possible for you to hold more than one truth.
Yep.
It is true that social media has brought us together.
Yeah.
It keeps us connected, keeps our families connected, keeps our connected in professional ways. That is true. It is also true that in the wrong hands, it is dangerous and harmful and life-threatening to people who represent our most vulnerable spaces.
There you go.
So then the question is on us, what do we do about it?
What do we do about it? What is the plan? How are we learning from each other? And I think this conversation, going back to like bringing awareness to what anti-racism looks like for the general public. Right. And not in our like progressive kind of silos. Yep. This helps that.
The resistance. What are going to be our acts of resistance initially, right? There are going to be some things that we just need to be thinking about right now and have that conversation stay ongoing. And then there are, as we learn more and see more, and as Trump says more, and as Congress votes more, there are going to be other ways in which we need to develop acts of resistance to not just survive, but to like push back. Free ourselves from whatever thinking that held us to these things and keep going. If you like what you heard, hey, stay with us. Yeah. Follow us. Wait, where they gonna follow us? What? No. We ain't figured that out yet. Don't follow us on Instagram or Twitter. We're on LinkedIn X because we are gonna transition moving ourselves, but we are on LinkedIn. You can find Full Circle on LinkedIn for sure. We will be posting links to this podcast and future podcasts. I think our podcast platform is YouTube. So you'll have a way to stay in community with us and stay. If you like this conversation, you want to hear more about this, you want to start doing stuff and then kind of, check in and see where the conversation goes. We love to have you. We love to stay in community with you. Or tell us how you're practicing this holistic wellness piece. Like what's challenging for you. Yes. What you may be a little bit excited or nervous about with your new wellness practices, or like what you're wanting to like rediscover about yourself through wellness. Yes. Tell us. Because we're going to share and talk back to y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Until next time, deuces. Bye.